Even though Paul knows exactly when he's going to go to the next shot and what that's going to be, within that there's kind of a light attitude about getting there. And so that makes it easy. It never feels like you have to have the set like locked down or anything. And he also doesn't say things like action. He has a very loose way of getting into the scene.
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, whenever you're ready is usually what happens. Which is, I think, really cool.
I love that, because normally it's like action and all of a sudden you're like, now I begin to act.
Right.
But with Paul, it's like whenever you're ready, and you do feel that freedom to go like, okay, I need a second, or I don't need a second, or I'm ready to go, or I need 5 more seconds, you know, and it's like, whenever you're ready. And working on this movie has been a different experience than working on other films. It's been faster, more efficient.
I'm running late.
I've been surprised that, like for example, when we do a scene, what I've been used to in previous films is that the entire scene will be run from start to finish for the master, for my coverage, for his coverage, and you're doing the same scene over and over and over again. But what Paul seems to have done is sort of pre-edited the movie in his head and figured out what coverage he's going to use. And so very rarely did we do a scene over and over and over again. We may have established it in a wide shot with the first 2 lines, and then Paul would say, okay, that's all I'm going to use of that. And we start coming in for coverage. And the first day or two, I thought, well, this is kind of strange because we're not, you know, running through the scene. And that's kind of what I, as an actor, was used to. But then I really grew to really enjoy it, because it's a really efficient way of getting more pages done.
I'm just doing my job here. I don't like it. I can't keep the cages clean as it is. I mean, I have a hard enough time keeping the pens clean. Yeah, put that up. Sorry. Can I put it on behind the scenes? Yeah, sure. Okay. Hey, Jackie Jugs, what would it be without the F word?
This time.
Our movie had, you know, a dozen dogs in it. And so there were times where the script called for a dog to jump up on somebody's lap, and if it didn't do that, other directors would spend an hour going like, all right, well, let's figure out how to do this. And Paul was just like, okay, well, that's not going to work. Let's figure out something to give the same flavor of that moment, but isn't the dog jumping up on the mother's lap. And so he really does just go with the flow, you know. Write his stories, keeping in mind what resources he has in his world, in his city, among his circle of friends. I've, you know, been attached to other movies where you get the script, and by the time you're shooting, they're saying like, well, we wrote the scene that took place at the amusement park, but that logistically wasn't possible. Well, why even write that scene about the amusement park? Whereas Paul, knowing that he is shooting with the constraints of a lower budget on an independent film, puts things in the script where he knows he can get it. For example, in Abrupt Decision, we have dogs, and we have a dog ranch, and we have all these, well, you couldn't write that if you didn't have access to that, but Paul has someone in his life who has a dog rescue, who has access to 15 different dogs, and so that logistically was an easy thing to put in the script. Most people don't have access to that.
He guides you in a way that makes you do it another way.
Absolutely.
Without letting you think the way you just did it sucked.
He never once did that. Ever told you that something was wrong.
Yeah, right.
It's
always, never wrong. It's just
always like,
some options.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
That was very good. That was very useful.
Yeah.
Here, give me something else. We have an option.
Yeah.
And maybe in his mind he was like, well, I would never use that. But
but he didn't need to let us know.
As an actor, you feel like, oh, okay, I just gave him 2 viable options. Which, when he gets into the editing room, maybe he's not going to use that second one. The first one sucked. But he definitely isn't one of those directors who's like, well, I can't use that. Let's try something different. So you're always at a place of confidence with
Yes.
Meet anyone?
Yes.
They killed the dog I was going to adopt. I went back to the pound to get my dog, and they'd euthanized it.
Wow. That's what happens when you take so long to figure out what you want. Something dies. We're all in it to make the movie. And so that feeling, that camaraderie, makes doing a Paul Brett film a joy. A joy.